Well, the principle of law that is fundamental in the hierarchy and judicial authority of courts is the principle of stare decisis, which is judicial precedent. When the Supreme Court decides a matter, the appeal court cannot give another judgment that overrules it. And the high courts cannot overrule the decision of the Court of Appeal. It would amount to judicial rascality. So this scenario in Anambra State is a different one.
Yeah.
All the high courts are courts of coordinate jurisdiction.
Okay.
That means they have the same powers. And no high court of the Anambra State is superior to the other. So if we follow the principle of judicial precedent, it would appear that if it were a matter with the same parties, the same course of action, the same issues before the three different courts, then it would be that the court that ruled last, the judgment that is most recent, is the one that should be followed.
Oh, okay, the last judgment.
It's
Yes.
the one that should be followed.
Okay.
Okay, sir. So some already are saying that the Supreme Court would have the final say even after the election, citing Imo State as an example. So the will of the people, what do you think? Do you agree with this thought?
Well, if you don't bring an appeal before the Supreme Court or an appellate court as a court of appeal, there's no need for judicial intervention.
Okay.
Once there's an appeal, it means that there's an unresolved dispute. And that dispute must have gone through the hierarchy of courts, from the High Court to the Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court, and then requires that a final decision be taken in accordance with the provisions of the 1999 Constitution. So if parties don't go before a court to seek dispute resolution or adjudication, the Supreme Court will not intervene. But because ours is a society of law and order, rule of law, and we have a system here that allows you to follow a due process and not to take the law into your hands, where it will result into anarchy. That's why the courts are there. So if the dispute is unresolved, it must, as a matter of logic and law, reach the Supreme Court.
Okay.
And that's the final determination. After that, now God.
Okay, well, as a follow-up to the question my colleague did ask you now, citing Imo State, for instance, as an example, the current governor of Imo State, I think, came third or fourth in that election. And the Supreme Court ruled that he was the winner of that election. Will you not describe this as subverting the will of the people who actually voted in someone that came first in that election?
Well, in the case of Imo State, the Supreme Court could not have ruled that the third would be the first without intervening and germane reasons. Those germane reasons would have to do most probably with Section 182 of the Constitution, which stipulates the conditions upon which a person may be disqualified from holding the office of governor. So some of those issues are whether he's qualified, whether he's up to 35 years, whether he has the academic qualification, he's a Nigerian citizen, and all the reasons stipulated in that section. So I think in my own legal experience, the first two may have been knocked out by those factors. And of course, it remains only the third candidate. So the person with the highest number of votes remaining will be the one declared as being validly elected. And so I think that is the reasoning, the ratio that's behind that decision of the Supreme Court.
Wow. Okay, sir. With that happening now, I want to ask, sir, to what extent, therefore, has the judiciary interfered with the electoral body? In looking at Nigeria as a whole, since our democracy and since we started democracy in 1999 up until now?
I think that the democracy we're running now, with all its warts and all the inadequacies and all the criticisms and all of the problems and loopholes in the 1999 Constitution, I think judiciary has done, reasonably well. On a scale of 100%, I will give them a good 70%. But for a few controversial decisions, which were also resolved either way on appeal, I think they've done pretty well. They've stabilized the polity, they follow the rule of law, blame or dispute must be this.
Are you still there, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, can you still hear us, sir?
Okay.
Right, from Anambra State, let's move over to Osun State, where there seems to be a simmering feud between the godfather and the godson. How will you describe the tension in Osun State, particularly between the two gladiators, the former governor, Aregbesola, and the current governor, His Excellency Oyetola?
Well, you recall that Oyetola was Aregbesolah's chief of staff for 8 years. He served loyally. And even though you serve as chief of staff, you have your own opinion on every issue. But loyalty and commitment dictates that you follow the directive of the majority, or indeed the directive of the chief executive, while you are serving as chief to serve. You can give your own opinion, but if the cabinet overrules your position, or the governor says this is how he wants it, you either resign or you comply. Oyetola is now governor. He is now governor. He is no longer chief of staff. And he's the chief executive of Osun State. So if for one reason or the other, as a matter of politics, the Aregbesola group are not being carried along in the scheme of things, whether in terms of appointments, privileges, welfare, opportunities, or indeed some form of political control of the party structure in the state, then I think that they will be aggrieved. And all of the work being done right now is to put them, I think, if I put on my cap as an analyst, in good standing to take over power from the Oyetola group in the next elections.
So with all these wild matters going on right now in Osun State, how would you say this has affected the governance of the Osun people?
Well, naturally and legally, the paramount priority of any government is the welfare and security of the people.
Yes.
That is the number one priority of any government, whether local, state, or federal. Once there are distractions that make it mandatory or equally important to deploy men, materials, and resources. And
hello, sir.
Are you still there, sir? Okay. Barrister Bolanle Olugbani, thank you so much. I actually would have loved to ask him, I would have loved to ask him the one question regarding if we'll probably see an end to this godfatherism and the tussle between godfather and godson. There's a particular state where a governor was kidnapped. You remember?
I remember.
And it was not just, he was put in the boot of a car. And when you look at such instances in Nigeria, you just SMH shaking my head.
Yes, like you said, the SMH.
Okay. Glad to have you back, sir.
Thank
Okay,
you.
sir.
You were making a point.
Yeah.
Yes, the point I was making is that the priority of any government, local, state, or federal, is the welfare and security of the people. Once materials, men, and resources and time of government is being deployed to take care of political fires, political bushfires, governance begins to suffer.
Yeah.
The welfare and security of the people is no longer the paramount priority. And as such, people are shortchanged. And indeed, their fundamental human rights are put on the back burner, welfare and security, and indeed provision of adequate logistics and welfare that the people are supposed to enjoy, are not the priority anymore. So it's not a good situation for the entire Osun people. The politicians must sort out their differences and let the state move forward.
True.
And get adequate and proper service delivery from the government of the day.
Yeah.
So maybe my final question, even though you slightly delve into it, this simmering godfather, godson issue, it's a recurring one. In fact, there is a serving governor who is serving his second term in Nigeria, who probably battled his godfather for almost 4 years. And of course, he got his second term. He's a second term governor now. Then we also had a particular governor who was, to use the word, held hostage even in his own state. Can we have an end to this godfather, godson crisis in Nigeria?
Unfortunately, for those who are interested in power, power is everything. Whether in or out of office, they continue to control and to seek to control power. So unless there's a release valve in the Constitution that allows any aspirant not to be only nominated and sponsored by a political party for the governorship of whatever state, that is, independent candidature inserted into the Constitution, which says that if you meet certain conditions, whether a party sponsors and nominates you or not, you can go directly to the electorate and seek their support for your aspiration. That way, tension will be lessened, expenses will be lessened, godfatherism may be jettisoned out of the window, and the Nigerian polity may actually be more stable, politically and legally.
Okay. Bolan Leolugbani Esquire, legal practitioner, public affairs analyst. It's been a pleasure having you on our program. Have a good morning, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With these different things he said, the different things he said, I was just looking at how that the opposition in Osun State will be feeling right now. As a PDP, feel like, okay, that you didn't allow us get into what was supposed to be, and all the different dramas before Yatola was sworn in. Now, it means that the opposition too will looking at when this kind of battles are going on, the opposition is going to be working on themselves. I wish they could go to work on themselves so we can have healthy democracy. Because if we don't have the opposition really formidable, democracy is going to be like a one-way flow and one-way ticket, one-way thing. But if you have the opposition very strong and formidable, I know that with people like the likes of like Chief Omishore, what happens when you're talking about the Ilefe angle, the Ilefe axis, and knowing that
it's an APC now.
It's an APC, so it's the alignment. I think people are trying to. Everybody wants relevance. That's why you're saying that. It's because relevant that made the governor say a governor leave PDP and go to APC that he wants to be a part of the national. He wants to have national presence. I was wondering whether when you were there you didn't get national presence. Your voice was not heard. But it wants amplified, like King James, an amplified version. You want a message translation sent so people can get to feel you. So these different things happen, like I said, like you always know, it's part of the the love and romance with politics. These are the things that happen. Cross-carpeting and believing, trying to align, align with interest for safety. Some persons for coverage. Some persons like, okay, now I'm loyal. The word they say, I'm loyal. I'm still your boy. I'm loyal to your government, kind of thing. But the major thing is, like, we talked about independent candidacy. But do we have structure? It will cost a lot of money, cost a lot of things, and these things for people to accept. If that thing can come into play, Nigerians can accept it, but godfatherism will be broken. Are we ready? It would be nice to break godfatherism in every structure, because every state has that. Every state. Not every state. Let's leave the Nigerian politics. Go to schools, SUG elections. I went out for SUG election in my time. I know how a particular lecturer told me, say, have you seen my boys? I was stunned. I had to play a very quick one and say, yes, I've seen them. He asked me, say, who told you I have boys? Then I had to talk to so I know now. I will see you say, yes, I have to go and see my boys before you come and see me. Because I found out that he was the godfather at the time. So until you play ball with him, you cannot be crowned. And I ended up losing the election. But beyond that, I understood more concerning politics. So,
you've rightly just put, if we can start from the grassroots. Grassroots is starting from the SUG elections. I remember when I was in school, we had people who would come out to say, see, it's you we want. They will go buy you the form. It becomes unopposed. Nobody else can get that form. And yeah, we have that happening in the politics today. And the gentleman has rightly put, if politicking in Nigeria will get to a point where people can independently stand and say, I'm running for a particular position, and they have the chance to really, get the support of the people to win a seat, then we'll have, the democracy that we're looking for. Take away godfatherism, take away the internal influence, because this is not external influence now, these are internal influence. Take away the, internal influence and let the people, speak for themselves for who they want to.
Maybe we probably must have read the mind of the Vice President of the country, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, who is telling his APC stalwarts that there's a need to take the message, the crusade, down to the grassroots. That what happened 4 years ago, 8 years ago, when the name of the president, when he named Muhammadu Buhari, did the magic, might not do the magic in the election in 2023. So they need to take the message to the grassroots.
We've always talked about it. The nation or the people, every building relevance is the foundation. And the grassroots, we cannot, you see, if you want to go into politics in Nigeria, or any part of the country, anywhere around the world, the grassroots, the people feel the pulse. So if you can get across to them, that's why there had to be a reminder, more like it's like an awakening. That is what PDP lost when they lost that 2015. They felt that we had the people, but meanwhile the grassroots were already bitter against them. They were bitter. The people felt that they were not getting what they were supposed to. So they already
for any change.
Anything, give me anything, give me stick apart from.
Sorry, what's our hashtag for today?
Our hashtag for today has to be beautiful. Right? Beautiful Tuesday.
Okay.
I'm looking at Beautiful Tuesday because it's a beautiful one. I'm looking at beauty. Please, okay.
Hashtag Beautiful Praise Tuesday.